Hey everybody, Suzette speaks live on your radio. Hope you're having a good day. We're ready to get started. What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome. It's Suzette speaks on your radio. We are so grateful that you were here. Happy Friday. You know we get it hot and popping. I love the conversation. Shout out to Miss Chin and shout out to Johnny Too Bad and the wonderful conversation they were having just now. We're going to continue in that vibe. I want to welcome you. This is Suzette Speaks Show Live. What's up, everybody? If you're just joining for the first time, you can find me on the Voice of the Caribbean, 𝗦𝗙 Radio. Let me turn up my mic. Turn it up. Turn it up. You can find me on Voice of, here we go. Voice of the Caribbean, 𝗦𝗙 Radio, every Thursday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. We talk hot topics. We talk what's going on social media. We talk what's going on in news. And today we're talking about what's going on in politics. If you are paying attention, y'all, this is the time to vote. This is the time to vote. Can you believe it? We are almost done with early voting, but the primary election is happening right now. And if you haven't voted, this is the perfect show for you because we're going to do an election voters guide. Let's go for South Florida. Whether you're listening in Miami, shout out to those listening on 94.3 FM in Miami. Whether you're listening in Broward County, shout out to those listening all the way up in Fort Lauderdale, 102.1 FM up there. So, and then North Miami, Hollywood, 102.3 FM, Lake Mary, Wagwan, all the way up to Orange County, Osceola County, Seminole County, 99.7 FM. And of course, our friends up in Vero Beach, Port St. Lucie, St. Lucie County, what's up, 105.3 FM. And again, if you're watching online, big up to my people, my soldiers watching on the YouTube side. And the conversation, like I said, was lively, and I like that. And we're going to do the same. If you have people that you're supporting during this election, this is a show for you to call in and tell me why you're supporting them. We're going to go over what I'm calling a voter's guide show to go over what you need to know to get ready for your early voting right now, all the way till Sunday, August 18th. You can vote early in your counties by law. The week before the election is open for any voter to vote anywhere in the county. Of course, your supervisor of election has designated early voting sites. I'm going to go over a few. Where you can go in Miami, where you can go in Broward. Now is the time. Funny enough, I was just talking to my auntie. Shout out to my auntie who is on her way up to Tampa for a conference and stopped by our house over in she lives up in Sunrise yesterday evening. And I was just talking to her and trying to get a sense of, hey, did you vote yet? Are you voting? When are you voting? And she was like, oh, I think I ordered my absentee ballot. And then when we checked her pile of mail, I was like, well, Auntie, did you go on the supervisor of elections website and request one? She was like, no. I said, well, they're not sending it to you. And a lot of people don't know that the laws have changed. If you are not requesting a vote by mail or what we call absentee, where you can vote in the comfort of your home, you ask the supervisor of elections in your county to mail it to your house. If you didn't do that already, it's too late for this election, August 20th primary election, but you can always do it for the November election. So I want you to keep that in mind, that if you did not order your vote by mail, or what we call the absentee ballot, it's not coming to your house. Before, in Florida, it was automatic. It would come every 2 and 3 elections, and you only had to order it ever so often. The law has changed, and now you have to do it every single time. Can you believe it? Every single time you have to order your vote by mail. So now looking at the actual competition, the actual races that is going on. I'm going to go over some in Miami, people I'm supporting and why. I'm going to go over some in Broward. We're going to talk about who's running and why. And we have to pay attention because we have to know that it's not just the presidential candidates, right, is why we're voting. It's not just the people at the very, very, very top of the ballot. We also must remember we are voting for the United States Senate, which are the people that go all the way up to DC and represent us. We're voting for the Florida House, the Florida Senate, right, people that go to Tallahassee and represent us. In Broward County, you're voting for a couple of new positions, including the tax collector, which has never been voted on before. The tax collector will be selected this time around, and as well as our sheriff, as well as other local and county-wide officials. And of course, we have our Congress people, people who go up to, again, DC to represent us and who we're going to support for Congress. So, and before we finish our ballot, we also have our local elections. So that means your not only county-wide officials, but your mayors, your city commissioners. Those folks are also on your ballot this primary election. So people don't necessarily pay attention to the primaries, but y'all, it's very important because it decides who gets to go and compete against the opposite party in November. Also coming up this week, it's a lot of excitement building up in Chicago. The Democrats next week are going to be having their convention. So the Democratic convention will be in full effect, just like we had the Republican convention up in Minnesota. The Democrats will be meeting. Let me tell you, it will be star-studded. I will be covering it. I wish I was going. I have several friends that will be going. I won't be going to the convention, but there are those who will be letting me know play by play. I have a lot of friends and colleagues who are venturing north to Chicago because it is going to be the biggest stage, the most important stage, I believe, for Kamala Harris, right? She's going to be officially nominated by the Democratic Party in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention next week. So you're going to have a lot of coverage, a lot of social media around what the Democrats are doing. And I hope to cover it next week as well. But we have to keep our eyes on Chicago. And again, this will be the nomination, the official nomination by the Democrats of Vice President Kamala Harris. So while we're talking about politics, I want you guys to make sure you have a plan of when you are planning to go vote, because if you're not careful, this early voting period come and then it leave you and you haven't voted. Remember, early voting takes place from now until Sunday. This coming Sunday, August 18th, is the last day. So I was talking to my auntie. I was telling you, I went over and I was trying to say, hey, did you get your vote by mail? No, we realized she didn't order one, so she didn't have a vote by mail. I asked her, when are you going to vote early? She's saying, I'm going to on a trip. She's headed up to Tampa. So I said, you have to vote in your county, right? The vote by mail applies to the county you live in. So I said, when you're coming back, she's coming back Sunday. I said, well, the vote by mail, excuse me, the early voting stations, the early voting locations usually close by like 6 or 7, depending on your county. So I said, when are you gonna come back? Well, I don't know if I'll be back before 7. I said, well, there's a problem. And this is very common, y'all. When it comes to how we vote and what we think about voting, we think we have time, we know we have time, we plan on it, and we come back to it, and then we realize, wait a minute, the days are gone. We are now moving on to the next thing, and work comes, and here comes Monday, and then the election is actually on Tuesday. So she realized that she does not have the ability to vote by mail and that she won't be here for the rest of early voting because she'll be out of town for a conference. So because she's out of town during Saturday, remember, all day Saturday is early voting. Remember, all day Sunday is early voting, and what we call souls to the polls. On Sunday, usually people who are religiously inclined, them leave them church or them leave them synagogue or them leave their place of worship. And on Sunday, they will go in mass to the polling locations together for early voting. So we're going to talk a little bit about where you can go to vote, who you should be voting for. I can't tell you. Of course, I can't tell you who to vote for. But I'm going to tell you where I'm putting my support. And again, you have your right. This is your voice. This is your power to vote for whoever you want to. But at this time, I'm going to go over some of the key elections in Miami-Dade and key elections in Broward County. And again, if you are supporting any candidate, call me and let me know who you're supporting and why. 850-446-0562. Get you right in touch. 850-446-0562. Get you right in touch. Suzette Speaks on this beautiful Fire Friday. Remember, today the music is gonna turn up. Let me tell you, drive time go right back down to the evening and night. This is when we make sure we bring the vibes to the people. So if you are a connoisseur of all eras of dancehall like me, this is when I say my favorite day of the week. Fire Friday is the mix them bad. So I can't wait to listen to my favorite DJs, my colleagues here later on tonight. But while we're getting that fire started, we're also letting you know why it's important that you make sure you have your voting plan and you decide which day you are going to vote, because early voting finishes on Sunday. And if you're not careful, it will come and it will go and you haven't voted. So Once again, I'm going to shout out the Voice of Caribbean team. We have so many people that have advertised with us. I can't say, enough about the people that support this. This is a community radio, right? So if you want to be in my show, if you want to advertise, make sure you contact us, 850-446-0562, gets you right in touch, or you can link me, Suzette Speaks. But I'm going to go over some of the races and Good Fire Friday to all of you listening. Suzette Speaks live on your radio. And again, today is the day. Try vote today. Try vote tomorrow. Try vote on Sunday before it gets too late, because what ends up happening is that you lose out when you do not vote, and you lose out when you do not recognize how quickly the early voting period starts. So let me go over some places where we can vote, because Miami-Dade has a whole page, and Broward also has a whole page on where the early voting sites are located. So let me go over let's go with Broward first. Where can you vote early? Now remember, early voting ends the 18th, which is Sunday. And in Broward, it's a schedule from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can vote at any early voting location, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. You have to bring your ID. Make sure anytime you go vote, you must have your ID. The acceptable forms of ID, right? Your identification card include your Florida driver's license or your Florida ID card, which is issued by the Department of Motor Vehicles. You can also use your U.S. passport. You can use your debit or credit card, your military ID, your student ID, your retirement center ID, neighborhood association ID, public assistance ID, veteran health ID issued by the United States Department of Veteran Affairs. You can also use your concealed weapons ID. Did you know that? Your concealed weapons license, all right, issued by the state of Florida. Your employee ID card issued by any branch, department, agency, or entity of the federal government, the state government, the county government, or the municipal government. So if you are a government employee, your government ID also works. So once again, you must have your ID when you come to vote, and then you can show up at any of your early voting locations. In Broward County, those locations include the African American Research Library, that's in Fort Lauderdale. You can vote at Broward College, the one in Davie, right by Nova. You can vote all the way at downtown Fort Lauderdale at the Broward Supervisor of Elections office, Carver Ranches Library. If you're in Dania, the Dania Beach Paul DeMayo Branch Library, Davie Cooper City Branch Library. If you're up in Pompano and you know the Emma Lou Olson Civic Center, that's an early voting location up in Pompano. If you are in Fort Lauderdale, ArtServe, right off of Sunrise Boulevard, ArtServe is an early voting location. Hallandale Beach Cultural Community Center, Handy, right? Handy in off of Andrews, which is an adoption organization that helps kids get adopted. You can vote there. Hillsborough County Community Center up in Deerfield, Hollywood Branch Library, Island City Cultural Center in Wilton Manors, Lauderhill Town Center Library, right? The back of the Lauderhill Mall, Lauderhill Town Center Library, Miramar Branch Library, Nob Hill Soccer Center for those in Sunrise. Nob Hill, I was driving through there and I saw the early vote signs. Nob Hill Soccer Center. North Lauderdale at the Saraniero Branch Library. North Lauderdale Regional Library as well. In Coral Springs, the Northwest Regional Library. In Pine Trails Park Amphitheater and Parkland. Pine Trails Park Amphitheater and Parkland. South Regional Library, all the way in Pembroke Pines. The South Regional, that's the Broward College Library. Southwest Regional Library, Tamarack Branch, Tyrone Bryant Branch in Fort Lauderdale, West Regional Library, and Weston Branch Library. So most of our libraries are early voting sites. That's what I take away from that. So if you're in Broward County, an early vote site, there are many. All you have to do, look up supervisor of elections, put your county, and then early vote, right? Once you do that, you'll be able to find out where all the branches are that you can vote, and all you need is your ID, right? Once you're registered, if you're already registered, all you need is your ID. So make sure you go and early vote. Now, you have the same type of list for Miami-Dade. It's much longer. I have it here, but you can look miamidade.gov, right? And then you can look up early voting sites, or you could just look up Supervisor of Election Miami-Dade early voting, right? There is no, again, assigned early voting site. Anyone can vote in those locations. So they have tons. When I look at Miami-Dade, I was like, from Coral Gables branch libraries, most of your libraries are early voting. Coral Reef, right? The Elections Department, FIU, Student Academic Success Center, right? Homestead Community Center, the JFK Library in Hialeah, Joseph Caleb Center in Miami, Kendall Branch Library, Little Haiti Cultural Complex, Miami Beach City Hall, Miami-Dade College and Kendall campus, Miami-Dade College North, right? The North Dade Regional Library, North Miami Public Library, North Shore Branch Library, Northeast Dade Aventura. So you understand most of the libraries, South Dade Library, and most of your city centers. So you can look up easily where you can vote early. So the point is, if you don't want to wait till Election Day, which is next Tuesday, August 20th, you have all of today, tomorrow, which is Saturday, and Sunday to go and vote. So you want to make up your mind, find a location, bring your ID, and make sure you go vote. When I'm looking at the different people that are running, I want to highlight some of the races. And again, we are a nonpartisan radio station. We don't endorse anybody officially. I'm talking in my own personal capacity, looking at my voters guide. And you can vote for who you want to. And if you have somebody you're supporting, call me now, 850-446-0562. Suzette Speaks live on your radio. Want to talk about who are you voting for and why? Well, me telling you right now, I'm definitely supporting for United States Senate, Mr. Stanley Campbell. And I think he is the best person for the job to beat Rick Scott. That is me. That is not an endorsement by this radio station. Of course, this is me as the individual in my individual capacity. But if you have a different choice, call me and tell me why. Again, he's a veteran. He holds several patents. He's worked in businesses. He owns golf courses. He has, again, both private and public experience, married, raised a family, son of immigrants. There's so much about Mr. Campbell, Stanley Campbell's story that I find compelling, and I think it would make him a very good United States Senator. And he's one of the people that will be on your ballot when you go and vote. When you look at that ballot, there are so many people that will be there that you should hopefully get an idea before you go as to who you're going to vote for. So I'm going to talk about some of the races up in Broward. I'm going to talk about some of the races in Miami. There's also some events coming up that I want you to mark your calendars for. One is the Blue Victory Cocktail Reception Broward Democrats are throwing on September 6th. That will be at Smoky Bones, September 6th. Tickets are $25, and you can find more information on the Broward Democratic website. We have some other events I want to let you know, some community events that need to be highlighted that I want to bring your attention to. I know for a fact, State Rep, State Rep Patricia Hawkins-Williams is also doing a community day coming up. I'm going to give that information to you right after the break, but I want to get into the ballots themselves. Miami-Dade sample ballot is what I have pulled up. What is wonderful about the Supervisor of Elections websites is that you have the ability to see what the ballot is going to look like before you step into the voting booth, right? We have sample ballots. All the Supervisor of Elections, each county has a supervisor, has a sample ballot for you to vote or to see what it would look like. And like I said, the first race that you'll probably see, depending on what county you're in, is going to be the United States Senate. And I'm going to be voting for Stanley Campbell, or I already have. Miami-Dade, you're also going to be voting for your congressperson who you're sending to DC, depending on what district you live in. You're also going to vote for your state representatives, whichever district you live in. Your sheriff, Miami-Dade sheriff is a hotly contested race. Miami-Dade sheriff, right, is the first time they're going to be electing one. And there are several people on this list that I like. I see John Barrow. I see Susan what's her name? Corey, I think is how you pronounce it. You see Ricky Mitchell. You see Jaime Reyes. There's a lot of people in that sheriff race. Very interesting race. I think I interviewed John Barrow, who is running there. You also have Supervisor of Elections, both in Broward and in Dade. who are up for re-election. Joe Scott is running against a couple of opponents, and you also have the supervisor in Miami-Dade running. I'm going to go through some judges. I'm going to go through some different races when we get back here from break. If you're in Dade, if you're in Broward, you got to stick and stay because we are here talking about who are we voting for and why. This is the time. Get your voting plan in order. Make sure you know when you're actually going to vote because the early voting ends on Sunday. Most of the county early voting takes place until 6 or 7 p.m. You got to check where you live, and you have to make sure you have a voter plan. You have to know where you're going to vote. And once you know where you're going to vote, you're going to know who next you're going to vote for. So we're going to go over some options that you're going to have. Make sure, again, you looked up your candidates for all the races. You can go on your supervisor of elections website and see what the ballot is going to look for. On Broward, you're going to go browardvotes.gov, miami-dade.gov, right? And you're going to look at where you can vote early. I went over some of the locations for the early voting already, and I want to make sure you start to look over there and where you're going to vote. All right, don't go nowhere. We're going to go race by race in just a little bit. This is Suzette Speaks live on your radio.
And in Lauderdale, 954-358-2020. And in Jamaica, at the 𝗦𝗦𝗙𝗧𝗧𝗘, 30 𝗦𝗦𝗙 Avenue, Suite 10, telephone 876-755-4594. Office hours, Mondays through Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays by appointment. Thanks, Flojan Legal Team, for your kind sponsorship to WVPP Radio.
Hello, Lauderdale. Former City Commissioner Richard Campbell is running again for Lauderdale City Commissioner. His motto is giving back to the community. Before earning a master's in physical therapy from Nova Southern University, he received a bachelor degree in political science from the Hunter College in New York City. For 30 years, Richard Campbell has worked as an elected commissioner, dedicated social worker, sports coach, physical therapist, counselor, business owner. Richard Campbell is now running for City Commissioner for Lauderdale to build a stronger economy, lowering taxes, and also